Hey everybody, it is the first day of June, so I am doing my May reading wrap up. Most of the books that I read in May were graphic novels and I think one audiobook. At least one. So, I will talk about the ebooks, which also were graphic novels. And then I will show you the physical books that I read. So to start off, I read Punk Rock Unicorn, which I believe is the 17th book in the Phoebe and Her Unicorn series. As always, I love the book. It was funny, it was adorable. Basically, they go back to their music camp and they decide that they want to make like a punk rock band. And it's just funny. I read The Girl in the Glim, which is about a girl that moves to like a new town or new neighborhood. You know, she's sad. She's left her friends and stuff behind. And she's not getting along very well with certain people, you know, in her class. And she comes across this alien type creature. Not a very long one, but I did enjoy the story. I wish there was a little bit more to it, but you know, I thought the little creature was cute. I thought the story was good. It was decent. I read The Cryptid Club, which I loved all the jokes in this. It's humor with cryptids, and it's I think that's gonna be one that I'll own eventually, just to like take off the shelf and read for a good laugh. It was clever humor. I really enjoyed it. I also read the first of the Lumberjanes graphic novels. It was called Beware the Kitten Holy. Basically, the Lumberjanes is a camp, and there is a specific bunk that gets into all kinds of supernatural trouble. And I really enjoy the characters. Some were more serious than others, some were goofy, but I liked that they all have different personalities, and it was just really fun to read. And I will definitely continue on with that series. In fact, I'm on book 2 now. Okay, so I just remembered that I took some of them back, so I'll just have to insert pictures for you guys. I listened to Long Way Down, which is a very short book. It's kind of told in a verse kind of way. So, despite the fact that physically it is, I think, over 200 pages, maybe 3. Or the audiobook is only a couple hours because, like I said, it's told in a verse style. And the whole thing takes place in an elevator. And it is about a boy that is on his way to kill the guy that killed his brother. And It's about his thoughts and what comes into his head and their lives and everything. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't very long because, again, the style of it, but once in a while I like to read books told in that kind of way because they seem to be, poetic, and they move quickly but still can have an impactful story. And I enjoyed it. I think I will be picking up more things from this author. Yeah, I recommend it if you're looking for a quick audiobook that has a good story to it. Another very short book that I don't know actually how many pages it is because I don't think it's said on Goodreads, oddly enough. And that is Otter, which is Odder, and it is about an otter named Otter and her life as an otter growing up around humans, learning to get back into the wild. I mean, it's actually it's more like a third person story, but the otter talks in this one, so she is a character. And I thought it was cute and just a good little story. It was something that I'll probably read again. But I liked the other books, the two other books that I read from the author, which was Crenshaw and The One and Only Ivan, so I wasn't surprised that I enjoyed this one. I read Vamplets, The Nightmare Nursery, volumes 1 and 2. These are very, very small graphic novels, comics. I would say these are definitely more middle grade than YA, or definitely not adult. It was cute. If you're one of those people that are into stuff that is both spooky-ish and cute or humorous, I think you'll enjoy these. I think at the most they're like 60 pages maybe. The second book is chapter 3 to 5 or 6 or something like that. So basically it is a continuation. Yeah, it's a continuation from the first book. I have no idea how many of these there are. I just know they were a fun read. And basically this is about a girl named Destiny who finds this magic necklace, if I remember correctly, and it transports her to this place called Gloomvilla. I could be saying that wrong, but it was Gloom something. And she ends up becoming like a nanny to baby vampires. And there is a talking stink bug, werewolf creatures. Yeah, it's kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon kind of thing. Like, that's what it reminds you of. Some, Goosebumps, Scooby-Doo, Addams Family kind of stuff. And I think if you like any of that stuff, you might like these. They're quick reads, and like I said, spooky fun, so you can't go wrong with that. Yeah, there's not much to say between the two volumes because one kind of continues on from the other one, but yeah, fun reads. I read the first edition, or the first book in the Eternal edition of Sailor Moon. I loved Sailor Moon when I was a kid. I think I started watching it when I was about I don't know, 12, 11, something like that. And just fell in love with the show. And then I read a few of the manga, but I never finished the series. There's only like 12 books. So I decided to restart with the Eternal editions because I heard that they were good translations, newer ones. They're bigger, they got sparkly covers. So I figured, why not? And if you're not familiar with the story of Sailor Moon, I'm going to tell you that there's a lot of mix of mythology and superheroes. Some of it doesn't always quite make sense if you are used to one set of names in mythology. Because, so, like most manga and anime, it does take place in Japan. But there is like a mix of things from Japanese culture and then like Greek myth in a way that kind of inspired these stories, you can tell. So some things are kind of, I guess you would say, mixed or different with certain names, like Sailor Mercury. She is a guardian of water, and of course Mercury, the planet, you know, that has more to do with Greeks and Romans and stuff, but I think the water part comes from something in like Japanese legend and mythology. So just keep those examples in mind when I tell you that basically the story goes that, like, I think it's 1,000 years ago or something, according to the story, there is a moon kingdom and sailor warriors and a princess of the moon who's also a sailor warrior. Well, they all are. They're all princesses, but for some reason I think she's like the top princess, and I'm not really sure why. Like, there's some things about Sailor Moon that I just kind of question. Not really sure how she got to be like the leader over, like, say, Jupiter, which is like the biggest planet, you know, in the solar system. But anyways, that's how the story goes. They're all princesses, but they're still part of her court. Somebody from an evil universe breaks in, destroys the Moon Kingdom, and they're all reincarnated 1,000 years later on Earth in Tokyo. And this talking cat eventually finds them and tells them that, you know, they're superheroes, and, you know, they learned that they had past lives. So to break it down, Sailor Moon is the story of a girl who discovers that she once was the princess of the moon. Her mother, I believe, is an incarnation of Selene, the moon goddess. There's your, you know, Greek and Roman mythology there. They all have superpowers, her and her friends, or her, you know, friends that she finds. Yeah. Does that make them aliens? Does that make them demigods? Were they alien demigods reincarnated as humans? Sailor Moon has many unanswered questions. But then again, I have not read all the volumes, nor have I seen every single episode of any version of the anime. So, yeah, this volume, well, I talked a lot, but yeah, there's a lot to wonder about Sailor Moon. There's just so much going on that you lose your place just talking about it, but it is a fun series. So, the first volume covers, if I remember correctly, Sailor Moon, Sailor Mercury, and Sailor Mars. I think the second one has Venus. But they're mostly similar to the episodes with slight differences. Obviously, the episodes have a lot of filler because, it's a TV show, so they have to make episodes. But anyways, yeah, if you're into stuff that's a little over the top at times, and, superheroes, girl superheroes, a lot of femininity, I will say that. They can kick butt, in heels and a skirt, which is cool. And I just like that. I like that mix of feminism and femininity. And I just like that they all have different personalities, the Sailor Scouts. Just love Sailor Moon. I read, I believe it was called The Mystery of the Moon Tower, which is the first in the Pathfinder Society. Basically, there's this camp called the Pathfinders, and these kids come across this mysterious tower and learn about its mysteries and stuff. Well, they go to like this museum, and I forget how, but they end up finding this tower, and of course there's mystery around it and stuff. It was pretty good. I think for like something in a camp story, I kind of enjoyed Lumberjanes a little bit better, but I think these stories will also have interesting storylines and stuff, so I'm definitely continuing with these books as well. I read Cody. I wish there was a little bit more to Cody because I was really enjoying the story. I also loved the artwork. It is watercolor artwork, at least according to, the back of the book. And you could tell that it is as well. So, the artwork just looks really pretty. I like watercolor on some things because it just looks very peaceful, dreamlike, and everything, just the way it's done. And Cody is about a girl that is staying with her grandmother. I think they were in a cabin or something like that. And she ends up befriending a bear that she helped when it was injured. And basically she has to go back home, and it is a story about her missing the bear and the bear trying to find her. He ends up basically working with this other person, and they work together to find a little girl. And it's a nice story. I wish we would have got more though, because we really don't know. It seems that somebody is sick and that's why she's going back home. I could be wrong though. They didn't go into too much detail. It basically was about her and the bear and their friendship. But yeah, I just wish there was a little bit more backstory for this character. But again, for the length it was a nice story, and I really did enjoy the artwork. I read Useless Magic. Now, Useless Magic is lyrics and poetry by Florence Welch. And if you don't know who that is the lead vocalist of Florence and the Machine. I saw them live, and I loved it. They are one of my favorite bands. And I love her lyricism. If I remember correctly, they didn't have every single one of the lyrics, but basically, they have the lyrics from their songs, plus original poetry. That's just, her poetry. And yes, as I was reading, because I read all of it, I did read it as the songs and everything, which is pretty cool. It's not... I mean, it would be something if you're a fan of the band and of her writing itself, as I am, because it's not really just like a poetry book. It is, like I said, the first half is like the lyrics. So, unless you are a fan, you're not really going to care too much, because obviously you can just go listen to the songs. But me, I like poetry, I love lyrics. So I'm going to read them and hear the song in my head, and I'm perfectly fine with that. It's got a cool cover. It's artistic. Yeah, I definitely say if you are a fan, or if you're just interested in the lyrics and, how they are and poetry, I'd say pick this one up. Alright, so that was my May wrap-up. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you read in May. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.